What's up, guys? Welcome back. This new generation Corvette has been introduced about 2 years ago, and since then has been the most talked about and sought after vehicle that is on the market right now. And I got to tell you, that's partially because Corvette promising that this is a performance vehicle for the masses. And they're saying that it starts at about $65,000. Well, guess what? This is a 2023 Corvette 1LT with only 3 options added onto it, and that is the black wheels, the black mirrors, and the tall spoiler in the back. So this is as base as it gets. MSRP $65,700 or so, and today I'm going to review it. By the way, I found this vehicle in the secondary market. So this is on the used inventory at Volvo Cars of Fort Myers, Florida. So if you're anywhere near, you can check it out yourself. But I'm going to take you on the complete tour of this vehicle. We're going to check it out from the exterior, interior, jump inside, look at some of the features that it has, take it for a spin at the end of this video. Before we do all that, if you can do me a quick favor and help me get to my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2022, I really appreciate it. The way to do it is hit that subscribe button at the bottom of this video. So what's the first word that comes to mind when you look at this vehicle? To me, it's sexy, it's sporty, it's exotic, and it's performance, right? All of these 4 words describe this vehicle perfectly, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Now, this generation Corvette has been out. This is a 3rd model year, I can't believe. And it doesn't get boring, because when you do something right, you can look at it over and over and over again, and it doesn't get boring. At least to me, it doesn't. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But this Corvette is a base model. So this is a 1LT. It does not have the Z51 performance package. It does not have so many amenities that are available on the higher trim levels. And I'm super excited to bring it to you because part of Corvette marketing was to bring a sport performance vehicles to regular people at an affordable price. Now, an affordable price for some, maybe $30,000 to $40,000, but this is not it. But this is $65,000 MSRP. Now, good luck getting it for it. You'd probably have to put a special factory order to get one, but because of supply and demand, dealers have been hiking up their prices and making you pay a lot more for it. I'm not sure what this one is priced at, but you can look at Volvo's website and see what they have it listed out yet. They just got it. Probably the first person to even look at it and bring it to you. So I got to tell you, the design of this vehicle, it already looks like a timeless design, right? It's very different from what we've seen on the Corvettes before. Now you have this indent right in the middle, creating this raises on both sides for better aerodynamics, for better look and better performance of this vehicle. And if you look closely, you have those distinct body lines going across this hood right here. There's 3 in the middle and then 2 on the sides over here. And to me, it looks like this kind of paper plane made out of origami. It's pretty cool. It's actually pretty sharp edges over here. Now you do have the Corvette logo on here. If you look at the headlight units, they're large, right? But they incorporate everything. So they have the turn signals, they have a daytime running lights and the fully LED lights as well. Scrolling down right here, you have those fans for maximum cooling. You can see the radiators basically sticking on both sides. And then right here in the middle, you have a lot of this metallic black color. This front splitter right here looks absolutely stunning. And it adds to the look and the performance of this vehicle because it does have some vents over here as well. Now, let's pop the front open. Let's see how much room we have underneath there. All right, before we look at the front itself, I want to point it out, this edge right here, when this front opens up, like I told you, it kind of reminds me of a cracked eggshell or something. But one thing to mention too, that this is all made out of this lightweight composite materials to save on the weight of the vehicle and make it faster as well. Now, if you look over here, before we get into the front, you have your brake fluid, you have the windshield wiper fluid over here. The front itself, I mean, it's not too big, but it's enough to put maybe some groceries, maybe put a carry-on luggage in here, might fit. Over here, and interestingly though, it does have an emergency release from the inside of the trunk. And well, I don't know who would fit in here, but maybe if the child gets locked up, they'll see it. And it says, hey, you know, if you get stuck in the trunk, push this button open and jump out of the trunk and run. Now, it also have a power outlet, so maybe if they have a cell phone with them, they can charge it up as well. Well, if you were to ask me which is my favorite side of this vehicle, I'd definitely tell you, hands down, the side profile of it. They did such a tremendous job designing it. It looks sexy, it looks sporty, the whole 9 yards. Now, let's take a look at a couple of things. When I mentioned before, this 1LT model's got 3 options that were added to it. The wheels are the black metallic wheels right here. Now, let's take a look at the setup over here. In front, you have the 19-inch rims with the 245 by 35 size tires. Now, in the back, it goes up a size to a 20-inch rim, and the tires also get wider but lower profile, so it's 305 by 30 in the back. Pretty cool setup, if you ask me. Now, the second options that were added are those black metallic mirrors, and the mirrors are equipped with a turn signal over here. And if you look at very nice and sporty, profiled, especially tested in the wind tunnels and the whole 9 yards. Side profile of this vehicle, you do have this air intake right over here on both sides. It is nice, it's large, it's unobstructed, and it does have this trim that's all around it, that's also in this black metallic color. Now, of course, your fuel tank is right over here, and it's a capless design for the fuel tank. And let's move on to the back checkout. I don't know about you, but I think the back is sexy as hell. Now, if you look at this, I mean, this part right here is virtually flat, so it's got super good aerodynamics right here. This has this glass over here. The visibility is not the greatest from the inside of the vehicle, but it does have the windshield defroster right here, the window defroster in the back, and it does have a vents over here, so that allows all this hot air that's in the engine compartment to escape through here, as well as a couple other places right here, over here, and right at the bottom of here. Now, if you look at the design of this vehicle, I like the spoiler. Now, this is one of the features that were added to this vehicle. The tall spoiler really makes it. It also has this black Stingray logo, Corvette spelled out, nice fully LED lights, taillights over here, very unique to the vehicle. And it does have the exhaust system, double tips on each side. Now, this is not the performance exhaust, this is just a standard one that you get from it. And then you have this piece right here, that this also metallic black color that nicely works with this white exterior of this vehicle. Again, this is a standard features on all of the Corvettes, so that's what you get with the base one too. Now, in order to get to the trunk and the engine compartment, I already unlocked it. You open up this back hatch. Now, let's take a look what's inside. Let's check this out, guys. Before we look at the engine, let's take a look at the trunk. It is kind of narrow, but it is deep. I think it will fit a golf bag if you are a golfer. I think you're in luck, depending on how big your golf bag is. Now, it is a mid-engine vehicle right here, so the engine is proudly sitting right behind the driver's seat, and look how low to the ground it is. Now, as far as the engine specs, it is a V8 engine. It's naturally aspirated. 6.2 is the displacement. The horsepower on this particular one is 490. Now, you'd get another 5 horsepower if you opt in for the Z51 package that includes the dual performance exhaust, plus some of the other performance features. It also has 470 pound-feet of torque, and it is mated to an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. Now, with 495 horsepower, it's able to take this vehicle 0 to 60 in just under 3 seconds. One thing to mention when you're talking about a 2023 or this generation Corvette is general, that even if it's not a convertible, all of them are basically Targa tops. So once you unlatch 3 latches on the inside of it, you can remove this top right here, and then you can store it in that back trunk if you wanted to. Now, if you put it back, do make sure that it's nice and tight and fit and all of the latches are on. I have seen the target tops flying off the vehicles at high speed, and that's not fun. Now, if you look at the size of this vehicle and the design of this vehicle, it's pretty cool, right? Now, one drawback to it, especially on the passenger side, is getting in and out of this vehicle. Now, I'm 6 feet tall, and if you are ordering one, you better start training your flexibility right now, because it's going to be a challenge to get in. Okay, I'm in. It wasn't easy, and I tell you, they thought about the driver, but they really forgot a passenger. What I'm talking about is the roominess for the passenger. Now, I have this seat all the way back, so as far as the legroom, there's no issue. But, you know, the issue becomes this. Now, while this strip of buttons is very useful and pretty cool looking to the driver, it actually, well, not as much for the passenger. So when I close these big doors, I'm going to become trapped at this tiny little space. So one thing to consider, if you are having a significant other that's with you, she or he might not be very comfortable in there. Now let's move over to where the magic happens. Well, check this out, guys. Before we actually get inside of this vehicle, I want to show you how to open it. There's a little button right underneath here. You press it and that releases the door. Now let's close it to see how it sounds. Boom, it's a pretty nice and solid thumb considering it's all lightweight materials on the outside, but fit and finish is really, really nice on this vehicle. If you look at the door panel over here, nicely leather wrapped. You get some contrast stitching over here in front. You can see it is a Bose stereo on the base model as well. Now over here you have a mirror window controls over here, and underneath here, this is your door handle. Well, this is your electronic door lock, so that releases, that opens the door, and then you push it out. Now there is a lock and unlock button, and underneath here you have a frunk and the engine compartment opening, and a little bit of storage underneath here. If you look inside of this Stingray, you see right on the door sill it says Stingray Corvette, and these are the base seats that you get with the LT1 package. I gotta tell you, I'm pleasantly surprised. They're nice, they're comfortable, they're good looking seats. And one thing to mention before we get inside is, well, that electronic door lock can have its disadvantages in case the battery gets disconnected and die. This is basically your bypass. This is your door handle underneath here. Now let's jump inside. Well, I'm sitting on the interior of this 2023 Corvette 1LT, so anything that you see in here, this is part of this base model trim. So let's start exploring it right now. First of all, fit and finish, really nice. As far as the fit, I'm 6 feet tall and I have plenty of room. Look, if I stretch my leg, I'm hitting that gas pedal, but I do have the seat all the way back. So even if you're taller, you can fit no problems into this cabin right here. Now, as far as the design of it, it's very nice. It's very futuristic. If you look at the top of this dashboard right here, there's a lot of parts over here. It looks like for more aerodynamic design, but that's on the inside. So that's just for the looks. And you see some speaker covers on top, so you know the sound's going to be coming out of that. As I mentioned, it is a Bose stereo. It is leather wrapped, kind of looking like leather wrapped. It is vinyl, but it does have some contrast stitching. Moving down over here, you have vents, and if you want to open up your glove box, it's open right now. That's the way you do it. So this is your dashboard. Let's move on to the heart of this vehicle, and that's the control center. The steering wheel, beautiful steering wheel, leather wrapped. It is flat top, flat bottom, very sporty. Now back here, you do have those huge pedal shifters right on each side of the steering wheel. Very cool. As far as the buttons on the steering wheel, left hand side, you have the cruise control settings. You also have your Z mode right here. This is your performance mode. Now that adjusts the engine and the transmission, the brake feel, engine sounds, etc. And that's what the adjustments are currently right on the Z mode. So let's go back. Here you go. So you can make some adjustments to that. Then over here at the bottom, you have your favorite buttons. On the other side, you have your volume buttons, and then you have your voice control, phone hang up button. This controls what's going on in the instrument cluster. That's what we're going to take a look at right now. Instrument cluster, all digital, very nice looking. Right now, I have the display linked to the drive modes. So let's check out what the different displays look like. So this is your sport mode. You can see sport-oriented display. You have the tachometer, you have a speedometer. You also have your oil temperature and the G-force. If you want to go to the track mode, that changes it completely. It gives you more data in front of you, and then the top bar right there, it's of course the RPMs to see of how you are performing on this vehicle. Now you have the park, the big P, that's the gear that you're in, and then underneath here is the speed. Then you have a bunch of temperature displays, etc. If you want to switch it back to the tour mode, which is the base mode, basically that's your everyday mode. That's what just the more simpler display, and that remains the same basically in my mode and in the weather mode, which is the two other modes available. Not too much customization on the screen itself. Actually, there's tons, but you know, the stuff that you can change is on the side usually here. And we're going to go from the beginning. So as you can see, it starts with a trip computer, then it goes to the performance, which is a performance timer, lap timer, G-force, and launch control, which is unavailable on this model. Okay, now we go back to the performance timer, and I'm going to try to check that out while driving if available. Audio is the next tab over. Maintenance, options, info tile selection, simplify. Press this to simplify it. Seen that on other GM products. Okay, and basically what happens is everything around the display disappears. Okay, and then you press on the button to go back in the regular mode. All right, moving on, right over here you have the infotainment system. Now the one beef that I have with this infotainment system, that it's the same in the Corvette and it's the same in the Chevy Malibu. While functional, there doesn't allow for a ton of customization, and if I'm not mistaken, this one doesn't even have a regular navigation system. Maybe it does. Let's check this out right here. This is on start, turn by turn, but if you go to Maps Plus, you actually have to have a subscription to, you know, use that. Right here, Maps Plus requires an applicable connected service plan. So you're going to close that out. But you have your audio, which we're going to go in here. That's your different settings. AM, FM, you have the Bluetooth, Android Auto, etc. Then you can go to the main settings again, phone, Wi-Fi, hotspot. Nice thing about Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, those are wireless, so you can connect them without any wires in here. OnStar services, climate control. This is basically your setup. You can control it through here, but the preferred options will show you in just a second where you control the climate control. Go back to the main screen. You have some apps, Alexa, Spotify, etc. So that's pretty simple. Now in case you get lost anywhere in that system, there's a home button right here that takes you to the main screen, and there's a volume button right here that adjusts the volume. Now the stereo sounds pretty good. This is a Bose stereo like I mentioned before. All right, scrolling down over here, you have the engine start stop button. You have this vent over here. You have this aluminum trim over here is where your transmission is, basically your gear shifting. No manual transmission is available, which I know it sucks for a lot of people, but you know, this one is pretty crisp. I've already checked that out. It's an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and the settings of it look like it came out of an exotic vehicle as well. Now if you're wondering what this is, the palm rest right here with the Corvette logo, it says mode over here. And that's because underneath here there's a little dial, and if you twist it, that's how you switch the modes on the vehicle, the driving modes. Over here, moving on, there's cup holders, and then right on the side here you have this strip off buttons right here. And basically all these buttons is for your climate control. So like I said, this is the second and probably preferred way of controlling the climate control settings. Now if the cup holders weren't enough storage for you, there's a little bit more right in here, so you can open that, maybe put the cell phone or something in there. That's about it. Now this concludes the interior. Take a look up on top. I want to show you this too. This is basically where you unlock your targa top, right? So there's one on each side and there's one latch in the back. So make sure that these are latched nice and tight before you start driving it so the targa top doesn't fly off. Now you have the OnStar, you have the hazard lights, regular mirror. This one does not have that camera mirror. And like I said, if you look at this mirror, there's this little pass-through above this engine compartment. So you do rely on the mirrors a lot in this vehicle. So it would be nice to actually have that. And now this is an option for some of the higher end trims. Okay, so you do have the LED lights in here. And since you have to rely on the mirrors and cameras, I forgot we didn't check out the rear view camera. So let's take a look at it. All right, so the rear view camera takes up the entire screen. Now this is the base rear view camera. There's really nothing to it. The only thing you can have is the trajectory lines that are active trajectory lines. You can turn them on and off. Other than that, there's really no different settings in camera. But I gotta tell you, the quality of it is not bad, so I'm not gonna ding it for it. Okay, so I got a smile on my face because I'm about to take this vehicle for a spin. One thing I want to show you though is, hopefully you can see it on my phone. This is a 2023 Corvette Stingray 1LT. As far as the original MSRP, standard vehicle price $61,900, so it's actually less than what it says on Chevrolet's website. Then the carbon flash painted high wing spoiler, it's $1,350. The 19 front 20-inch rear carbon flash painted aluminum wheels are $995, and the carbon flash metallic painted outside mirrors is $100. Total MSRP, original MSRP for this vehicle was $65,740. So this is if you were to do a fresh factory order. Now I'm ready to take this vehicle for a spin. Of course, there's other options. There's other vehicles that are available. You can get the 2LT and 3LT, which is going to give you more options. You can get the C51 performance package. You can get that magnetic right suspension. If you remember, if you haven't watched my video on the 3LT convertible that I've done, that particular vehicle had an MSRP of almost $100,000. That's about $35,000 more than the one that I'm sitting in right now. I'm going to take this one for a spin. I know, just based on looking at the specs and the performance aspect on this vehicle, you know, the Z51 package would give you an extra 5 horsepower, but also give it a limited slip diff, and that's a big thing, you know, as far as the performance vehicle. So you could consider it. Now, if you just want to have a daily cruiser with a Sting, this is not bad at all. Of course, if you can wait, you know, until the dealer can fulfill your order. So this one doesn't have this performance exhaust. It's got 5 horsepower less. Not that I'm gonna race it or anything like this, but this vehicle has been broken in. It's got 1,200 miles on it. So somebody already put some miles on it. That means that I'm not afraid of pushing it a little bit harder. Of course, it's still a dealer's vehicle, so I don't want to crash it or damage it. So I have to be somewhat careful with this. Now, the ride of this vehicle, you know, it feels good. It feels solid. Okay. I like the steering wheel. I like how that steering wheel fits in my hand. It keeps you in control. It keeps you engaged as far as having both hands on the steering wheel. The visibility up front is great. In the back, not so much. That's why I would like to have this rear view camera just to see what's going on in the back of me. Now, this one doesn't have this magnetic suspension that monitors the road ahead of you, adjusts the suspension accordingly. It also doesn't have that raising and lowering feature that's the higher end Corvettes or the trim that I've done before had. But nevertheless, it feels pretty good. And I'm surprisingly nicely surprised with the comfort of these seats. These are nice. These are comfortable, and they're well adjusted to, you know, any driving position for that matter. In the design of it, I still know it does turn heads. Anywhere people go, you can, anywhere I go, I look at the Corvette and you're like, wow, this is a nice looking vehicle. This is a very comfortable sports car. And that's hard to achieve, especially with the performance that, you know, it has. A lot of the sports cars are super stiff, you know, as far as the suspension, as far as the overall feel of this. This one, while it is, you know, fairly stiff, it's not bad at all. And a pretty cool thing when you're sitting in this vehicle and you know the engine is right here and you can actually hear this engine. It just gives you a little bit different perspective of what this vehicle is. Now, hopefully I'm going to have a piece of road here to myself that I'm able to test out the performance on this vehicle, and I'm going to be able to stop and accelerate without any obstructions in here. And here it is. I'm at the full stop. I reset my 0 to 60. All right, so we're going to do, there's no launch control in here, but I'm going to put my left foot on the brake. We did it in 3.5 seconds, and this is, again, this is my first try, 3.5 seconds here to 60. It is fast, quick, it's lightning quick. Even this is a base model vehicle. Now, what else can you get right now? It's gonna get you 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds or 3 seconds or so right now without, you know, spending a lot more money in here. Again, guys, we're gonna stop right here. I'm gonna reset the timer, right? And push this accelerator, okay? .3 seconds, we did it, and I know that it's capable of going even faster. So it is a very fast, capable, fun vehicle. You know, it holds on to the road. You can hear, you know, I had it in track mode, so you can hear the wheels slipping a little bit, but not bad. It was still under control, very controllable vehicle, that's for sure. I like it. To sum it all up, guys, it is a great vehicle. It's a great value for the money at $65,000, getting a 3-second 0 to 60 car. It's awesome. It looks great. It sounds great. It's got the right equipment on it. Yes, there are a few things that I wasn't crazy about. I wasn't crazy about the way that you get in this vehicle, but guess what? This is the sacrifice that people need to make while getting a sport vehicle. The roominess for the passenger might not be the greatest, and the infotainment system is not as good as some of the competitors do, but the competitors also are a lot more expensive vehicles. Overall, the feel, the design, the drive of this vehicle is top-notch. If you were wondering if this would be a vehicle for you, well, without spending the extra money for the 2LT, 3LT, Z51, yeah, it is great. It's definitely worth it. Now, if you have a little bit extra money, you might want to go for that Z51. You get that extra 5 horsepower, you get the limited slip differential, and you might be a little bit happier with that. But if not, this is definitely a performance vehicle. I love it. I hope you guys do too. I hope you like watching videos like this. If you do, give me a thumbs up. Just hit the subscribe button. Help me to reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.